Hello, WhatCulture. Jack is once again away this week, so you get me, Simon from WhatCulture, which means you know what's going to happen. SmackDown is about to get all the ups. Well, no, actually, SmackDown was a bit of a meh show this week, and a meh show is worse than a bad show. Because at least a bad show, like a bad story, you can get some stories out of. When something's just meh, it's like, well, it was just meh. And Raw was a bit meh this week as well. There's a week of meh. I don't know. Anyway, enough ranting, and let's up some SmackDown downs. Geez, that doesn't work. Change the name, WWE. So let's start at the start of the show, and to be honest, it was so by the numbers. This could have been taken from any SmackDown over the last few weeks, and you wouldn't have even known the difference. It was getting it down. But Jinder Mahal came out and did his usual thing, and then the Singh brothers got on the mic, and they did their usual thing. Although that got a bit weird because they were apologising for Jinder for what happened last week with Nakamura, and they said to him, "Let us kiss your feet." And thank goodness that didn't happen because I don't want to see anybody kissing anyone's feet. This ain't Bret Hart, Jerry Lawler. And then of course Nakamura came down and they brawled, and then Rusev came out to even it up, and then you know what happens after that. A tag match was announced to the end of the show because that's what we do in WWE. All the feuds come together and have a big fight at the start, which means at the end, there's a tag match. Oh, and Orton came out as well. That's the tag match. I just realized there was no tag match there. It was just the Singh brothers, Rusev and Jinder, whooping Nakamura. Orton was there. There you go. I put it back together. And again, all this was fine, especially because SmackDown doesn't have a pay-per-view for about 72 years. So they kind of had to tread water for a bit, but treading water sucks. No one treads water. You don't go to a swimming pool and tread water, because that would be stupid. So this was just, I guess, stupid. I am going to give an up to the Shelton, Benjamin and Chad Gable versus the Ascension match though, because as I realised while I was watching, I think I'm in love with Shelton Benjamin. So it's getting an up. I don't even know why either. He's just really good and Chad Gable is really good, so seeing them as a tag team is really good. I think this is an inspired decision by WWE. I'm excited to see where it goes. I mean, the Ascension are literally background noise at this point. Well, not literally. Dumb thing to say. It's not literally background noise. They're human beings. But anyway, the point here was to showcase Benjamin and Gable, and they did, and they looked awesome, and the crowd loved it. Just feel good all around. I don't really know what to do with the Baron Corbin stuff though. All of this in the long run may actually help the man because he may start to realise what he needs to do to get where he needs to be. But if we take it within context, or we take it on what happened last night, well, it's a down. It started when Renee Young buried him in an interview by basically going, "You're an idiot for losing the Money in the Bank briefcase," and then it continued when AJ Styles had his open challenge for the US title, and guess who managed to stop Baron Corbin getting involved? That's right, it was Ty Dillinger. Ty Dillinger got the best of Baron Corbin. It kind of did work out all right because the match between Styles and Dillinger was over quicker than I can blink. I mean, it was literally like this. It was literally that quick. And it was done, and then of course Corbin got in the ring and he whooped Dillinger's ass. So I guess he got the upper hand, so it kind of worked out. However, then AJ Styles whooped Corbin's ass and Corbin just walked off to the back. So if you look at it from who had the last laugh, it wasn't Baron, and by this stage, he's a bit of a joke. But it's going to be an interesting few weeks, so we'll see what happens. AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin though. That's your feud. Up, down, middle. Yeesh. Bobby Roode is getting an up though, because although his match with Mike Kanellis did drive that nail into the coffin a bit further, Roode won again, and Roode looks great. Short match, not too much to talk about, and it was another quick win for Roode, but guess what that does for old Bobby Boy? He instantly looks like a star. Yeah, throwing opponents in front of him, and he's batting them out the cages like they're nothing. That's how we introduce new people to the main roster. You let them lay waste to some morons before you put them in the proper program. Lovely stuff this, or glorious stuff. I hate myself. You're not going to believe this either, but Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon, I like it all. I think it's quite entertaining, and it's getting it up. The thing is, Shane McMahon is a big star because he is a McMahon, and he's never going to put himself in a position where he doesn't feel like a big star, and therefore, Kevin Owens is only going to benefit from that, and I love Kevin Owens, much like I love Shelton Benjamin, so this is only going to help him out. However, this did all lead to a massive down because we did get Kevin Owens on commentary for the Sami Zayn versus Aiden English match, and Sami Zayn lost. So yeah, it's down. There was a lot of nonsense here in the sense that halfway through the bout, Owens just decided, I'm going to be the referee now. And then he beat up Sami Zayn and did a fast count on him. But that's not the point. Sami Zayn still lost, and I start to question, why does WWE hate Sami Zayn? He's like the most natural babyface you have, and you kill him every week. Every week. And does this mean we're going to get Zayn versus Owens again, even if it is on respective teams at the Survivor Series? We don't need that. We've seen it. And also, WWE, you told me it was all done. Done! You liars. Which leads us to another down, because what the hell is going on with Dolph Ziggler? Say it again. Down. Last week he told us that this week he was going to bring his new all-in-one super gimmick to the show, and then we got to this week and he comes on and he just said the same thing again and finished it by saying, I'll show you next week instead. So what was the point in that? And that means he's not going to next week, doesn't it? Next week he's going to come out and do the same thing again, and it's soon going to transpire that this is actually his new gimmick. His new gimmick is to talk about other people's gimmicks while he doesn't actually show anybody his new gimmick. And that's rubbish. Straight up, that's rubbish. New Day versus Uso was good again, and while it is threatening to outstay its welcome just a touch, it's not there quite yet, so it was fine. Gets enough. The point here was whoever did win would actually get to choose the stipulations for their upcoming tag team match. The Usos won, so I guess they'll announce that in due course. And maybe it's a Hell in a Cell match, or a ladder match, or a tables match, or a chair match. Whatever, just pick a match. Another quick up too though, because Xavier Woods, who did get injured over the weekend, was wearing a cast, and on the cast it said, it's sore. I like that, I just like the New Day, they made me happy. I'll also given up to all the Natalya, Carmella and Naomi stuff, because it was fine. And as you know, we don't crap on things that are fine. This was fine, gets it up. It was basically just a big interview segment where, yes, Carmella was giving leeway to take another shot at Baron Corbin, as she told Natalya, I won't screw up like Big Bazza Corbin did. Natalya was all like, yeah, whatever, and then they announced they're going to have a match next week for some reason. I don't know why. And then Naomi came in, and she said to Natalya, well, you better be on your best behaviour, because in 2 weeks, you've got your title rematch against me. So now we've just block booked 2 weeks of SmackDown, and I don't know why. Maybe Carmella cashes in 2 weeks. But again, fine, decent, okay, alright, whatever. The second women's segment of the night, however, is getting a massive down as Tamina took on some nobody called Jack Robinson or something. It wasn't Jack Robinson. I'm going to look at my notes. Breaking the fourth wall here, like John Cena. Tina Stock, and my gosh, it was awful. It only lasted a minute, but it wasn't fun, and we had Lana the whole time shouting outside, crush. I didn't like this. Stop doing this. And it may be the saga that never ends too, but then we did have another Breezango segment, and can you believe it? It's still wonderfully entertaining, so it's getting it up. It was basically the same shtick we see week in, week out, but I love it, because they do it so well, and this time they had an insider reference to calling a title a belt. Just great. There were more clues here as to where all this is going, and if we're being honest with ourselves, it is probably time to wrap this up at some point soon, because, you know, it's been a long, long time. But credit to Breezango for keeping it going this long and it never really getting boring. Give the pair a proper push after all this as well. They've earned it. Which brought us to the main event tag match, and it was very run-of-the-mill, but again, that's fine, and fine is an up, so it gets an up. It focused on the two feuds, and that's Jinder and Nakamura and Rusev and Orton, and of course it finished after Nakamura hit his finishing move and just pinned Rusev. Because of course Ruru has to eat the pin. Poor Ruru. There was a twist late in the tale, however, as Nakamura and Orton were celebrating, and Orton was like, I see an opportunity here, and he RKO'd Shinsuke out of nowhere, and now next week, we're getting a #1 contenders match between Orton and Nakamura to see who goes after Jinder's title. It's alright, it's a pretty big match. I'll watch that. Yeah. Overall, this was a very standard SmackDown though, because they are just kind of waiting to get closer to the next pay-per-view so they can ramp things up again. And that's not really good and it's not really bad. But as we said at the start of the show, it does make it a bit meh, and you could have missed all of this and you haven't actually really missed anything at all. And I guess that's fine, but it's also not really, because it's meant to be entertaining. And if you're not entertained, then, you know, what's the point? I guess I was entertained to a degree, but yeah, forgettable SmackDown. Let's wave goodbye to it as it fades off into the past. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's SmackDown. Like, share, and subscribe. Head on over to WhatCulture.com and read some articles. Then follow WhatCulture on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. I'm sure Jack will be back with you next week, but thanks for having me. I had a lovely time. I'm going to write you a little note. It says, Dear WhatCulture Watcher, thanks for having me. Here's a tea cake. And if you don't like tea cakes, I'll be offended. That was a gift.